a big soft spot in my heart for puzzle platforming games. Limbo, Inside, Black the Fall, experiences that completely rely on environmental storytelling while challenging the player's problem-solving skills as well as their imagination. It's because of this that the initial announcement of Somerville filled me with excitement, a stylized third-person puzzle platformer developed in collaboration with the co-founder of Playdead Studios, the people behind Limbo and Inside. I was even happier to have the chance to review the game before its release, and I'm glad to say that the experience was a positive one, which is an even greater mark of quality on the game's story, atmosphere, and gameplay, considering how many issues I was having with the frame rate on my higher-end setup. The developers and others with access to the game are reporting that these issues are not present on their end through testing, so take that into consideration when we get into the specifics in my review. Real quick before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for all things indie and horror gaming. Every person makes a huge difference and keeps YouTube's algorithm from zapping me with a purple death beam, plus your support helps me get closer and closer to being able to do this for a living, so I really appreciate it. There are more ways to find and support my work, but more on that at the end of the video. Somerville stays true to the traditions of this specific genre. A nameless cast of characters, zero intelligible dialogue, and a story with no context that relies on environmental storytelling and the player's own interpretations. Not only does Somerville follow these examples and more from its inspirations, it also executes them with meaningful precision and deep knowledge of what makes these elements work. The story of Somerville can be split between 3 distinct acts, each with its own goal and tone both in story and visuals. I want to specify this rule of 3s because, as you'll notice throughout the gameplay, this is a recurring and important pattern for the story being told. When a sudden attack from the skies puts a family in danger and separates them, your goal as the protagonist is to search for your family no matter the danger and obstacles in your way. As I stated in the beginning, this is a game that relies entirely on environmental storytelling, and Somerville expertly drip feeds you important information about the overarching story through the eyes of a character that knows exactly as little as you do. While this method of storytelling could be risky given just how strange and unnatural the events unfolding around you are, there's a certain pattern and method to the madness that the player can decipher as these ideas and themes are consistently expanded upon. It's impossible to describe the specifics without taking away the magic of experiencing it for yourself. I loved learning and piecing together the game's story as it went on, and the game's final act was a beautiful payoff to the slow buildup of information throughout the adventure. While not as inherently cryptic as the inspirations that came before it, fans of this type of storytelling will still feel right at home with Somerville. To elaborate on the gameplay itself, the player's main goal is to traverse the world employing strange and specific abilities, along with the environment itself, to both solve puzzles and evade danger, as an ever-present alien threat scours the planet for anything living. These abilities are very limited in their uses given the specific and unique nature to them, but the game utilizes the mechanics in very interesting ways when it comes to the puzzles that saturate the experience. Somerville also does a great job at demonstrating the uses and limitations of these abilities without outright stating anything, giving you a feeling of discovery as you find practical and life-saving uses for your powers when the situations call for it. A very important visual element for games in this genre is readability, the clarity in which your objectives and interactable objects are presented. While Somerville is great at keeping things simple in this regard overall, there were a few points, especially earlier on in the game, in which the solutions to some problems weren't easily discernible from the rest of the environment, and required some trial and error before figuring out that I was making it a lot harder on myself than necessary. Aside from a few instances of crawling through tight spaces, there's never really a dull moment in the game's roughly 4-hour-long story. The influence of the alien presence is saturated throughout every environment, and, in the outdoor areas especially, the presence makes the gameplay feel all the more tense, as the overwhelming show of force unfolds all around you. This leads me straight into the game's beautiful visuals and sound design. Despite the dark themes and tone of the story, Somerville is a very vibrant game when it wants to be, juxtaposing the empty and lifeless environments of the planet with the bright lights and vibrance of the deadly invaders stalking you at every turn. Even just from watching this review, you've probably noticed the game's signature color scheme of blue, red, and purple, a clear example of the purposeful intention behind the game's visual storytelling that services both gameplay and story. These deliberate uses of color throughout the game are accompanied by a reserved usage of audio that enhances the tension and terrifying alien sound effects, but at the same time undermines some of the more dramatic scenes in the game. Some sounds were extremely impactful, while others left me wanting more, sometimes taking some of the potential tension away from certain scenes and undermining the intensity of the visuals. Just like with the gameplay, I found that these aspects of the game were at their strongest in the third act of the story, putting everything together in satisfying and unexpected ways to present a beautiful finale to this weird and intriguing story. Despite my enjoyment with Somerville, there were a few technical issues with the game that consistently brought down the experience for me on my PC. The first and biggest of these issues, which seems to be a problem with my specific setup as nobody else was reporting this, is that the game had an awful tendency to stutter and lag. Environments would occasionally pop in around me, the camera would jitter as it panned with my movement, and the frame rate would drop in most environments despite my higher end setup. Since it appears that this is some sort of problem on my end, I'm not marking these against the game in my overall score. My other issue, one that is very minor compared to the positives of the game, is that the character's movement and interaction can feel a bit janky at times. I found myself occasionally getting stuck on corners of objects, or having to reposition myself multiple times just to try to grab an object, which only added to the frustration with the performance issues I was having trouble with. Aside from these issues, Somerville has been an exciting addition to the genre, providing an experience that shines both visually and narratively. While it didn't capture my heart quite as much as some of the games it takes inspiration from, Somerville is still a wonderful title that's well worth the runtime. The originality of the story, combined with the expertly crafted visual storytelling, formed a beautiful indie title that I'm really happy to have experienced. So much so that I played through it twice. Hey, look at that, you made it all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed today's review. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for all of your indie and horror gaming needs. I also livestream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 PM Pacific time on this channel and over on Twitch, so come tune in and play some games with me. I'm also active over on Twitter where I post horror art and talk about games, plus I post short videos on TikTok, so make sure to check that out too. All of them at Misspelled Moose, and the links can be found in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.